Okay, so when I demo this, I'm just gonna use to make it like more realistic. I'm gonna use as an example like a real construction manufacturing company in
Okay.
South Africa called Bell Equipment. But before I
Mm-hmm.
do that, just to go through again the main functionalities of each role. So as I explained yesterday, we have the admin who can obviously register new users and assign roles, and can oversee all the transactions between the supplier, warehouse, and the customer. You have the supplier who can basically create products and update products, set prices, can manage the stock that he has, can accept or reject purchase orders from the warehouse manager, can ship products to the warehouse manager. So that's the most important functionality of the supplier. And you have the warehouse manager who can basically browse all the products that the supplier has and purchase those products. Warehouse manager can also accept or reject the orders that come from the customer, and can ship products to the customer as well. And the customer, of course, is just a simple shopping cart where the customer buys the products from the warehouse manager. And then this is just a simple diagram of how my supply chain system works. So you can see the supplier dealing with the stock that he has, the warehouse manager managing the inventory and the orders that come from the customer, and the customer is able to place orders. And the admin basically oversees all the actions that take place in the application. So yeah. Then
Yeah.
uh, then before I go to the request in Swagger, just to show you the data that we're working with that I embedded in the database. So I have users over here, specifically these three users I'm going to be demonstrating with. So we have our suppliers, we can see here, the manager, as well as the client. Then also have the products that the supplier has currently. So all these construction heavy equipment that the supplier has over here. Then warehouse is basically the warehouse that the warehouse manager keeps his inventory. You can see the location of the warehouse and the manager ID of the manager who owns this warehouse. Uh, then lastly, this is basically the inventory quantity within the warehouse that the warehouse manager has for the different products. So that's the data that we're working with. So uh, on this end, I'm gonna demonstrate the requests for the supplier handling the orders that come from the warehouse. Um, and then here I have a warehouse order controller. This is basically gonna handle, or it's for the warehouse to basically make orders to the supplier, and here to handle the orders coming from the customers. And then of course the customer order controller is handling the requests of ordering equipment from the warehouse. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I need to quickly register log in the users because the session's expired. So you can see you place the email and password. So this is so on this end is specifically for the customer. So now I'm logging in the customer. Uh, then on this side it's for the warehouse manager. And then on this end is the supplier. So you can see the details there. Okay, cool. So now that all those three users are logged in, I'm gonna demonstrate the flow of all the orders that take place between these three user roles. So firstly, for a customer, I think I'll just demonstrate the orders that take place. So if he wants to basically make an order to the warehouse, right? All you can simply do is make a request to this endpoint uh, to basically purchase a specific equipment, right? So basically, we're gonna purchase, for instance, we'll get this equipment over here, a hydraulic excavator, from the warehouse manager, from the warehouse, and the quantity we're just gonna get one. And as soon as that's executed, then an order is created, as you can see over here. That order is created, just to also show in the database that that order is there, and to show the status of the order. We can basically select from the customer's orders. Sorry, let me see. And you can see here the customer order that's created. Currently the status is pending because we just made the order and it hasn't been accepted yet. So now that the customer has made the order to order that specific equipment, on the warehouse manager side, he can basically go view the different orders that probably came in. In order to do that, you can make a get request to see the orders that came in from the customer. And when you make that request, you can see here that specific order, and the status is still pending because he hasn't accepted it. So let's say this warehouse manager wants to bring more hydraulic excavators into his warehouse. He can basically purchase that specific product from the supplier because the supplier has that in stock. So he'll also make an order, but he's making an order to the specific supplier. So let's see. So when he makes the order, he has to put in the details of the order, of course. So he's getting it from this warehouse, from this supplier. The product ID is 43, and he's gonna get 2 hydraulic excavators. You can see the quantity there, and you can place that order. Then you can see now that order is created over there. And just to view the orders that are specific warehouse makes, you can see that it is tracked in the database over here, and it's basically set to pending because the supplier still needs to accept that order. So the warehouse manager is making that order, so supplier can also check the orders that come in from the warehouse manager. So in order for him to check that, he'll basically get the orders over here. And when he does, you can see the orders that came in from the warehouse manager. You can see the details, the warehouse that it comes from, the warehouse name. You can see the product that's being ordered and all of those details. And the person wants 2 hydraulic excavators. So right now that the status is set to pending, right? As we can see here, this supplier can basically go and accept that specific order. But before he does that, what I also added in the back end is the ability to confirm the quantity of that specific order. So basically, I'll have to get the order ID for that. Let's see, which is 3. And we know that customer or that warehouse manager ordered 2 hydraulic excavators. So we confirm the quantity over there, and then the status changes to confirmed. So if we look here, the status changes to confirmed. So it means that order has been confirmed. Then he can basically accept that order. So as soon as he accepts the order, once that order is accepted, we get this response. And when you see here in the database, you see that the status of that order has simply changed to accepted. So now that it's accepted, we know that this specific warehouse manager is awaiting those specific products. So because it's accepted, the supplier can basically ship those products, which is the most important functionality of a supplier, to give the product to the warehouse manager. So as soon as we do that, we put basically the shipment details. Just need to get that. So this is the shipment details that you can place for the purchase order, which is basically 3. And then we see that now the status changes to shipped. That means the supplier has now shipping the product to the warehouse manager. So now the status changes to shipped. Notice that as soon as the supplier ships the product, right, what happens is the quantity of that specific product decreases. I didn't show before, but now it is 4. At first it was 6, because I added that functionality within that ship method to decrease the quantity when it's shipped. So now that product is being sent to the warehouse manager, let's say he receives that product, he can basically declare that it has been received. Um, see? So as soon as that happens, he can basically put the order ID, that specific order that has been shipped, then you get the user ID. Then this request is basically him declaring that that specific product has been received by him, and then we see now the response we get, and when we look here, the status is now changed to received. Also shown here in the database. The status is now received. So that means the warehouse manager has basically received that hydraulic excavator, both of them. But if you remember, the customer made the purchase to get one of those hydraulic excavators. So for him to receive it, this specific warehouse manager basically has to ship the product. So that's where my warehouse customer order controller comes in. It handles these requests, specifically this one here where he ships the product. But first you have to accept it, of which I did. So I'm gonna accept that specific product that that order that the customer made. So in order to do that, just to check the customer order that customer made, it's 4. So now it's basically a put request, so we're updating that customer order that he made. So now that specific customer order is updated, and we can see here that at first it was pending, and now it's accepted. So the warehouse manager can now ship the product to that specific customer. So in order to ship the product, we make a request to this endpoint. And we add our shipment details as well. So and then now the product is shipped. So we get this response with the status changed to shipped. So the status changes to shipped, indicating that the product has been sent, and then you can see the shipment details over there for that specific product. So now that the product is shipped, the customer can receive that product by basically confirming that that product is received. So as soon as he receives it, he can confirm. And you press execute, then the customer receives that product, and the status changes to received over there, as you can see as well in the database here. So now that customer received that specific product, and then the inventory basically decreases in the warehouse for that specific product that the warehouse manager recently shipped, which is over here. Because at first it was 6, and then he shipped 1, and then now it's 5. So that's just a basic explanation of how the requests work in terms of like the different orders between customers, suppliers, and warehouse managers. Then lastly, just to explain the architecture flow of my application. So basically, when it comes to handling the orders that are made between these different user roles, I have this customer order controller, and it basically calls all these methods from my customer order service that I created. So there's a create method that helps with customer creating an order. There is a cancel method where a customer can cancel an order, and then the confirm method where, like I just showed now, helps with a customer confirming that he has received the product. Then I have the warehouse customer order controller. This controller is basically handling the orders that come in from a customer, right? So we have an accept method where the warehouse manager can accept the order from the customer, can reject it, and can ship products to the customer. Then this warehouse order controller that I have is specifically for a warehouse manager to create a product using this create method in the purchase order service class, and can also ship products. So this method helps with that, can basically mark that the products are received from the supplier and can reject the delivery. And then I have different repositories as well for like the user repository, product repository, inventory, and order repository that interact with my database, and then the different entities to set the fields of the user, product, inventory, customer order, as well as the purchase order. So yeah, that's an explanation of how my supply chain API works.